Some of you asked for me to put together an explanation of my trading setups. So I've got a chart here of the Euro-Dollar Forex, and I've got a couple of different indicators on here that you'll probably recognize from my journal entries. The first indicator is these red dots and blue dots, which is the dynamic support and resistance indicator. This indicator is available for free at Kreslik.com and a number of other websites. The second indicator is a moving average. It's a 10-period moving average that shows green color when it's moving up and a red color when it's moving down. The third indicator is these middle dot indicators, which simply shows the middle of the candle. It's simply there for visual reference, and I'll explain a little bit more about how I use that when we get to the actual entry. So for the setup itself, what I'm looking for is a series of 3 lower lows and 3 lower highs. And in this case, what we have here is we've got a support floor shown here by these dynamic support dots, a support floor here, and a support floor here. We also have 2 sets of resistance here that are moving down, and then we're hoping that this area will also move down. The reason that this trade, by the way, would not have been a valid setup to look at is if we look at our longer time frame, there's a major resistance area right at this level, so I don't want to be trading into that level. But otherwise, this would have been a potentially valid setup to look for shorts. You can see with the moving average, the same pattern. We've moved down here. We tried to sort of move off of that and kind of consolidated, moved down, a short retracement, moved down again, and now we've seen a fairly good sized retracement. So if this, if price moves up here above this resistance area, then this would not be a valid setup. But if we start to turn here, then we can start looking for a short trade. So I'm going to advance the chart here a little bit further, and we're going to see if we can get a setup. So what I'm looking for the exact setup is I want to see price moving off this resistance. Now that I've seen a potential here with the 3 lower lows, and potentially we might have the 3 lower highs. What I want to see is I want to see a candle that opens below the middle of its previous candle, showing a bounce. So for example, if the next candle happens to open below this candle here, then I will consider that for a short trade. So indeed, we do open below the middle of the previous candle here, and now I want to see it tick, usually about a pip or 2, just to show me that it's got the momentum and that it wants to come my way. And then I'll place my entry order here. So market's still holding on at this point. This is an indecision point. It's easy to jump the gun here and decide which way to go prematurely, but that's not what we want to do. So we want to see that we're actually committed to moving down before we make our entry here. So this is kind of one of those things where you got to have a little bit of patience to see what the market is doing. It's thinking about it. Aha. Okay. So I'm going to place my short order here, and then we're going to see what the market does. So when I'm actually in a trade, what I'm really looking at is I want to see momentum supporting my decision. So since I'm looking at a short trade here, what I'd like to see is I want to see momentum moving my way. Right now, we're kind of holding in a little bit of an indecision pattern, and we'll see what happens. Okay, moving forward here, this is not the direction that we'd like to see our trade going, and indeed we're down about 5 pips at the moment. Basically, this is how I look at it, is that if my typical stop loss somewhere between 7 to 10 pips, depending on the momentum of the market, and what I really want to see at this point is that we're actually not going to bounce here, and that it's going to push through this level of resistance. So you can see it's attempting that at the moment. It would be premature to exit the trade at this point since we don't really have an answer. And in fact, we're starting to see some indecision here. So in fact, this is actually confirming potentially that we may not push above resistance. So I'm just going to advance this a little bit further here. We're continuing to stall, and now we're finally looking at essentially a second attempt to move down. So I want to see that the market is serious at this point about moving down in action. And what I'm looking to capture typically is I'm looking to capture half of the previous wave, or in this case, most likely, I'm going to start looking to exit when we're starting to hit support and running into it as kind of a wall. So this is kind of fine. What I consider the art of the trade here is when to get out. This is the tough part in my opinion. You've got to get a good feel for whether are you continuing to push through these support floors, and so then it's valid to hold on to the trade. If not, then it's time to exit trade. And also the other thing that you can do to make this a little bit easier is you can scale out, and that's certainly something that I will consider doing on a trade like this. We're up about 3 to 5 pips at this point. It looks like about 5 pips, and we're pushing down. Right here, by the way, is our next floor. So I will expect to see some resistance at this level. And indeed, you can see us bouncing a little bit right here. So a little bit of indecision. Right there, we've entered that floor. You can hear I'm out of the trade. So that was worth about 9 pips. Pretty good little scalp. You could have held it for a little bit longer. And as you can see, it's still continuing to move down. But we're just scalping here, just trying to catch a momentum move. And the key is you don't want to be exiting the move when the momentum is turning against you. You want to be exiting the move when the momentum is in your favor. That way, you're ensuring that you get positive slippage. Look how we bounce right back out of that support area, which was resistance, by the way. So that's a solid scalp, and that's the way that I like to see trades go.